Do I have good work ethic? Do I ever struggle with motivation? If so, how do you solve it? Everybody struggles with work ethic and motivation to some degree. The key thing I always say whenever asked anything about motivation is that motivation isn't the biggest thing to talk about in terms of finishing work and doing work. You don't need motivation. You need to be disciplined. You can't. You will never finish a game on. You'll never finish a game. Never finish anything, any project really, on motivation alone, and especially not and have it be the best it could possibly be. Definitely not. You might finish a game at some point, but you'll have ended up finishing it in kind of like, I'm done with it now kind of way. Because motivation is fleeting. Motivation is the initial drive that makes you want to do the thing, and that will never last forever. Because not every part of doing the thing is fun, it just isn't. And you've got to be able to do things that aren't fun because you want the end result. And being able to do that is hard, and it's called discipline, it's not called motivation. People try to do all sorts of things to trick themselves into being motivated to do work, and if it can help, but really, the key is to not need those things anymore, to be able to do hard work and do things that hurt and are painful and that suck and are boring and that you find be able to slog through work and be able to just do it even though it's not really very fun. That is what you need to be able to finish projects, and that's what you need to be able to make things the best that they can possibly be. And it's dangerous when people don't realize that, because they think what they need is motivation, and so they think, I'm just not really feeling like working on this, how do I make it so I feel like working on this? Which would seem like the optimal scenario and is great while it lasts, but you can't control that feeling. You can't control... You can do limited things to nurture and influence it, but you can't really control what you want to do or what you feel like doing. And if you let that dominate everything you do, that would be just eating cakes all day, right? Oh, whatever. I don't know. That was a dumb analogy, but you know what I mean? Like, you can be motivated to do things that don't sound like the type of, like, binge watching Netflix is something you can be very motivated to do. You never watch Netflix out of discipline, really, unless it's a really bad show and you're just torturing yourself on it or something, right? How do you build discipline? Break it down into... You build discipline by doing hard things, even though they're hard and even though it hurts. Start running. There's a good one. Start like doing couch to 5k or something and doing runs and getting to the point where you want to stop. The key to building discipline is to then not stop. You know, when you're running and you're starting really tired, and well, wouldn't it be nice if I just stopped? I'd feel really good if I just stopped now and had a drink or whatever. I mean, I'm not saying like run yourself into the ground doing this. Like if you're about to pass out, stop running, you know. But like when you just kind of don't feel like doing a thing anymore, do it. That's the only way. That's the only solution. No matter how many self-help books you read, no matter how much nonsense or how many tricks you learn, you're only learning things that are gonna motivate you, and you don't need motivation, you need discipline, and you only build discipline by learning the power of your own mind to allow you to do things that you don't want to do. The only thing. I mean, you don't feel like getting up, you just gotta refuse yourself and then do it anyway. When you don't feel like writing any more code, you gotta just, oh, I've gotta slog through and get it done. And this can sound bad as well, because this can sound like I'm advocating, like, working yourself into the ground and just, like, you know, don't kill yourself over making a video game, but you've got to be prepared to do things when you don't want to. That's not to say do things when it would be unhealthy or bad for you. Don't stay up all night working on a thing. Don't crunch ridiculously hard on a thing. But put in the reasonable amount of effort, and you know whether or not you're doing that, really. You know if you're working hard, and you know if you're... Like, as long as you're working hard, then you're working hard enough. Just keep working hard. But don't... You just gotta be honest with yourself, really. That's what it all comes down to. And don't... A lot of people, like, I think they feel it's impossible to not do a thing that they don't want to do, but you just gotta do it anyway. There's no shortcut. Motivation will carry you quite far, but sometimes it's carried me hella far. It's carried me so far being motivated. Like, I just really enjoy doing this stuff. Like, I enjoy it so much, and that's a gift and a curse. And that, like, you enjoy making games, so you make games, and you enjoy it so much that you can get through so much stuff that would seem like hard work, because it's not hard work. And it's basically cheating. You're able to do hard work without it feeling like hard work at all, and that's what motivation is. And that's what drive is. And it's great when you have it, but it will fleet, and it will not last, and it will not do everything. It will limit you. And you can be so it can be the thing that crushes so many people who are like, who kind of have, you know, a bit of a gift or a bit of a talent for something. In that it doesn't feel too much like work to them, and they can just do it, and they can seem to work for ages. But then when they hit a wall, they hit something they don't really feel like doing. It feels impossible to them, because they don't know what that feels like. They don't know what it feels like to, like, do work that is actually hard work and actually feels like hard work and feels a bit rubbish to do. They don't know what it... They don't have any experience with doing that stuff, because all the stuff they have done hasn't felt like work to them, and so they've actually, you know, they've made a lot of progress and a lot of development off of being motivated. And I'm one of those people. Like, it's taken a long time for me to really kind of start to break through a wall I'd hit of how good I could be at this stuff, because I just was basically too lazy, and I could only do work that I felt like doing. And I could only do things that I felt motivated to do. And then I realised, eventually, that wouldn't get me anywhere. So I had to start being willing to do things I didn't want to do. Running helped a lot. In terms of learning what it's like to want to stop and then do the thing anyway. And get a feel for how rewarding it actually feels to do something that you didn't want to do and see the results of it. And be like... okay, I didn't want to do that at the time, but now I've done it, I feel great. You know, like when you finish like a really hard, like when you clean your whole house or something, you know, or like you do something that you've been putting off for ages and then it's done and it's like, ah, yes. It's a great feeling when you do things that take discipline. It's just sucky while you're doing it. Anyway, that's enough nonsense from me. I said that was going to be the last game, but then I went on a 3-hour rant about motivation and discipline because someone asked vaguely how to have motivation. Hope that answers your question. Hope that was useful. I don't know. Who even asked that originally? Glint Games. I hope you found that useful. I do that sometimes.